Good morning, doctor. We are from group 2 and now we are going to present the software test documentation. So basically we have 30 test case, since we have 30 use case and we have 30 sequence diagram. We have 5 modules, which is traceability, CAPA, document control, audit management, management review, and system administration.
A very good day, sir. And my name is Joyce. I'm going to present about the test case for 2 modules, which is first the system administration and second will be the management review. Okay, so without further ado, let's look at the management review for this QMS law. So for management review, we have 5 test case, which is matched according to the use case. So that means we have 5 use case for the management review. Okay, for the first one, we have schedule management review. Then second, conduct review meeting. Third, record meeting minutes. Fourth, assign action items. And fifth, track action item. So I won't go through one by one, but I will show you a general of the test case. So let's say example for this schedule management review. We have 4 scenarios. For example, for the normal scenarios, for alternate, exception, and other exception scenarios. So same goes for other test case. Example for conduct meeting, you also have normal, alternate, and exception scenario. Okay, so and also to show you the description. So for each description is actually based on the use case. Example for schedule management is of course test the management review life cycle from scheduling to tracking action items. So and this is the objective. Okay. Then we also have record meetings. We also have the normal scenario. This is the normal scenario, alternate scenario, and exception scenario. Okay. Then for action item, we also have normal scenario, alternate scenario, and exception scenario. Okay. So for the fifth, we also have normal scenario, alternate scenario, and also exceptions. Okay. So we move on to the last module, which is system administration. So this system administration it has 3 test case. The first one we have login. Second, management user permission. Third, send automated reminders. So I'll just go through briefly for each of the test case. So for the first one, test login, we have the normal scenario, alternate scenario, and exception scenario. Okay. Then for the second one, we also have the same 2. We have normal scenario, alternate scenario, and exception scenario. Then for the third one, same. Send automated reminders. We also have normal scenario, alternate scenario, and exception scenario. That's it for the test case for the 2 subsystems. And now I'm going to show you the requirement matrix for these 2 systems. So as you can see here in this table, for management review, the sprint number is at management review, it will be the 4th sprint number, and we have included all the use cases. So for management review, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then for system administration, we just have 1, 2, 3.
My name is YUEN and now I will explain for the document control subsystem test case. So basically we have 8 test case for this subsystem. The first one, manage document repository. So this one is the normal scenario. So the step is click on documents, repository UI will request documents, then the document domain will query DAO, database retrieve document, system display repository, select document, and view document details. The second test case is the check-in version control. For the normal scenario, the test step is upload a new file, enter the version of the file, and submit. So the document upload UI transmit data to document domain, then the document domain save file in storage, and it will also record the version of metadata, the database record insertion, and confirm record. Document domain will confirm success, document upload UI will notify the user. The third test case is checkout version control. For the normal scenario, user want to edit document domain will apply the document log, and the database will confirm log. Document editor UI then open the editor for the user. For the exception scenario, if the user want to edit a log document, the document DAO will verify the log status, and the request will pass to the document DAO, so it will process the log error. The document editor UI will display the error notification to user. The fourth test case is the approve document. For the normal scenario, the user want to view the pending approvals, review document content, then the approval UI will approve document, approval domain update status to approve, document DAO will confirm approval. Lastly, the approval UI display approval message. For the alternative scenario, the user want to reject document, the approval domain update status to rejected, and document DAO confirms rejection. Approval UI display reject message. The fifth test case is digital signature. For the normal scenario, user want to sign document, provide the authentication, submit signature request, identify verification, record signature in the domain DAO, proceed to database, database confirm, domain confirm, complete signing process, and lastly is the final user notification. The sixth test case is the search document. For normal scenario, the user initiate the search document and execute the search. Search domain process the search, and it will pass to the document DAO and pass to the database. Database returns data to the DAO. DAO will transmit data. Domain confirms the result, and lastly is the user display. Next is the test case for download document. So for the normal scenario, user select document, initiate download, retrieve document record, rocket query file, fetch file binary from the database, and stream file data. So the download domain will prepare the file for UI, and the final delivery document viewer UI will display download file to device. The last test case is the document history viewing. So for the normal scenario, the user want to open the document history, and next is the query version data. Execute database query, so the history domain pass the history to the document viewer UI, then display the history list and initiate the comparison. The document viewer UI will display show version comparison view. Now I will show you the traceability matrix for the document control system. For use case 2.1, manage document repository, sequence diagram 8. Test case 201. Use case 2.2, check version control, sequence diagram 9. Test case 202. Use case 2.3, check version control, sequence diagram 10. Test case 203. Use case 2.4, approve document, sequence diagram 11. Test case 204. Use case 2.5, digital signature, sequence diagram 12. Test case 205. Use case 2.6, search documents, sequence diagram 13. Test case 206. Use case 2.7, download document, sequence diagram 14. Test case 207. Use case 2.8, view document history, sequence diagram 15. Test case 208. That's all for the test case and traceability matrix for the document control system. And now I will pass to my teammate.
In test case part, we have created 7 test groups with 12 scenarios covering all traceability and CAPA functions. The first one, test group 1. Custom complaint rejections. We test how staff log customs complaints into the system and how they use serious complaints to CAPA records. Test group 2, CAPA ignition. We check that managers can create new CAPA records with problem details. The next, test group 3, CAPA management. We'll verify managers can view their assigned CAPA and update the states with progress comments. Test group 4, root cases analysis. We test 2 analyze tools, fishbone diagram for catalogs, based problem analyze, and 5 whys for finding deep root cases. First is test group 5, creative action assignment. We validated that managers can create tasks, assign them to team members, set deadlines, and send automatic notifications. Test group 6 is traceability matrix view. We check that compliance officers can view the requirements to pass test metric and see complete compliance statistics for projects. Test group 7, product information tracking. We test forward tracking from raw materials to final products and backward tracking from products to their original supply route. All the test cases follow standard steps with clear inputs and expected results to meet ISO requirements. Next is traceability metrics for Kappa module. We have 7 user stories and 7 sequence diagrams and 7 test cases. Each user story has its corresponding sequence diagram and test cases, ensuring completely coverage from requirements to testing. We test the custom complaint, inactive Kappa, manage Kappa records, perform root case analysis, assign corrective actions, build traceability metric, trace product information.
Guys, I'm Shini and I'm going to explain to you the test case and traceability for audit management subsystem. You can see that audit management have 7 test cases, and then we will start with sequence diagram and then we will explain the test case scenario. So first one is plan and schedule audit. In this sequence diagram, you can see the flow from audit dashboard UI to the audit domain for validation. So in this test case, plan and schedule audit, there will be normal scenario and exceptional scenario. In normal scenario, when a manager enters data, department, date, and auditor, the audit domain will validate the data and will trigger the insert audit data through the audit DOA, resulting in a new database entry. In exceptional scenario, the test will enter a date where the auditor is already booked. The diagram shows that the audit domain will call check auditor availability, which will return a conflict from database, prompting the UI to block the action. The acceptance criteria for this test case is that mandatory fields must be validated and double booking is strictly prohibited. In next test case, which is assigned auditor, you can see the sequence diagram. In this sequence diagram, you can see that the audit list UI fetch available auditors via audit DOA and subsequently trigger a notification. In normal scenario, selecting an auditor will trigger assigned auditor in the domain layer. Following the database update, the domain will send a request to notification service to alert the user. In acceptance, it's in exception scenario. In exceptional scenario, however, it will test the UI ability to filter out inactive auditor, ensuring the assigned auditor is disabled for those profiles. Acceptance criteria for this use case is that the notification service must be successfully triggered and alert upon an assignment. In next test case is test manage audit checklist. You can see the sequence diagram. So this sequence diagram, you can see the flows begin at the checklist template UI and move through the checklist domain to checklist DOA. So in normal scenario, creating a checklist with questions like, is this PPE one, will result in a call to insert checklist, creating a permanent record in checklist template table. In exceptional scenario, however, this tests the system ability to flag duplicate template titles, for example, ISO 9001 to prevent data redundancy. The next test case is execute audit. You can see the sequence diagram. In execute audit, you can see the diagrams details the transition of an audit status from active to completed. The test logic for this test case is like this. In normal scenario, the auditor marks an item as pass or fail via the audit task UI. Upon clicking the finalize, the audit domains will call update audit, which the audit DOA will execute as a SQL update statement. The exception scenario for this one is that validates the system will block finalization if any of the checklist templates are left unanswered and incomplete. So acceptance criteria for this test case is that all items must be answered before finalization and the audit is marked as completed. In next test case is create non-conformity report. You can see the sequence diagram. You can see the sequence diagram depicts an auditor interacting with a finding form that saves data directly into the finding table. The test logic is like this. In normal scenario, entering details like no PPE and severity levels like major will trigger log finding through the audit domain and finding DOA. In alternate scenario, the auditor can store external quad link in the evidence field for finding. Acceptance criteria for this is that failed items require a mandatory non-conformity report and an assigned severity. In next test case, test archive audit records. You can see the sequence diagram. So this sequence diagram has entails that the manager interacts with the audit archive UI to log complete records. The test step is like this. In normal scenario, clicking archive prompts the audit domain to update the status to archive and set the audit archive date to now in the database. Exception scenario is that it confirms that in progress audit cannot be archived, protecting the active work before it is become archived. So this test is going to ensure that the audit data is preserved and protected from further modifications. In next test case, track audit remediation. So this final test case will ensure that the non-conformities are tracked until its resolution. So you can see the sequence diagram. You can see the sequence diagram that the flows involves retrieve finding via finding DOA and updating them once a remediation is verified. In normal scenario, an audit will view finding, verifies remediation and quick resolve. When quick resolve, the audit domain triggers update finding, which persists in the table. In exception scenario, it will validate that the system requires verification nodes before a finding can be marked as resolved. The acceptance criteria for this test is the findings must remain open until the verification evidence is provided and documented. So next, we can see the traceability for this audit management subsystem. You can see that it has covered the use case, and the sequence diagram and the test case together. That is all for traceability and test case of audit management subsystem.